Plenty still to come on Sports World Racing now. Keith Hillier has joined us. He did bring the scones in, Kim, so you're going to be lucky. Keith, good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Bruce. The scones are staying off air and out of range. It was like feeding time at the zoo last Sunday. But we saw some great racing yesterday and a day of ups and downs, and no one more involved than Lee Freedman in 2 states.
Who has joined us now. Lee, superimposed tremendous in Sydney, but mannerism, not such a good story here in Melbourne for you.
No, it was very much a mixed day, Bruce. You know, both horses won brilliantly, put themselves right into contention, I feel, you know, for the rest of the spring. And unfortunately, she had a bleed, and I've just got to put her away till the autumn now.
OK, so she's out for 3 months. Lee, in fact, was in Sydney yesterday. He wasn't at Moonee Valley. He was there to watch Superimpose. Another man who was there to watch Superimpose from the Sydney Morning Herald, Max Presnell. Good morning, Max. How are you?
Top of the morning to you, gentlemen.
What do you make of Superimpose? He's a strange old customer, isn't he? He's a champion one day and he can be ordinary the other. Just fortunate that he's a champion more than he's ordinary.
He certainly is. Well, he was super yesterday, and at Randwick at his previous start, he was a little bit on the light side, but nevertheless, he's a great racehorse. He's certainly going to be very hard to beat in the Epsom, and the query at this stage about Superimpose is how much weight he will get in the event. Lee, will you cop 61.5 in the big mile?
I'll just leave that to the handicapper, Max.
You're not the handicaps, by the way, for the Epsom come out on Monday. Now, remembering that this horse has won an Epsom and 2 Doncasters, and if he wins the Epsom in a fortnight's time, he'll be the first horse ever to complete the double-double. You got an idea of a weight that you want? I know you're hedging on this.
Oh, I want the lightest weight I can possibly get, obviously.
Lee, there was almost a veiled threat in some of your words yesterday that if he gets too much weight, you might bring him home to Melbourne. Is that the way it should be read into it?
There's no veiled threat.
It's a genuine threat.
That could well and truly happen, yeah.
OK, so let's have a look at his win, and then we'll talk more about this horse, because he is one of the superstars of the sport, there's no question. He looked magnificent yesterday in the Hill Stakes.
As they come up the hill at the 600 mark, Stylish Century is just being worried by Stargazer on the outside, and Old Super is cruising along in 3rd place, 2 lengths behind them. A gap of 4 to Lee's Bid, and then Magnolia Hall and Just a Dancer as they near the turn. Stylish Century by nearly a length on Stargazer. Beatman's off now on Superimpose. He's pulled out 3 deep on the Big Chestnut as they turn for home, and he looks to have a lot of petrol in the tank. Superimpose, he's off now, and Superimpose exploded to the front at the 200 mark. He left them standing. Superimpose, he's race clear. Just a Dancer doing a big job, has run into 2nd place, but down to the line goes Superimpose, and he handled Canterbury beautifully. Won by 4 lengths to Just a Dancer. Stargaze, I think, 3rd in front of Magnolia Hall. Stylish Century gave up quickly.
Well, Max, remembering that one of his chief rivals, Shaftesbury Avenue, over the years is here in Melbourne and won't be running in the Epsom, the way he won yesterday, he could do the double-double.
Oh, he's a great racehorse. I think he could. Again, the weight aspect is the important factor. I'm tipping him to get about 61.5, and perhaps Lee might say, well, that's all right, but what's he going to have to give major rivals like Liverstone Lane? I thought Liverstone Lane was entitled to get about 55, and that would give Liverstone Lane a great chance too. But Gun Sin carried 62 in a big Randwick mile and got lipped. I really can't see Super getting much less than 61.5, and I do think it's a race that a weight that he'd be very competitive with.
Keith, how would you compare Gun Sin, the Gundawandi Grey, with Superimpose?
2 different horses, both great horses, but I wonder, Bruce and mainly Lee, whether that performance yesterday, which must have been one of his easiest wins, would tempt you to have a shot at the Cox Plate, or even one of the Cups again. He's now soared in Cups betting.
Yeah, it's both are possibilities. More particularly the Melbourne Cup than the Caulfield Cup, because I do think, you know, Flemington is a really good track for that horse. Whereas I know he was the course record holder at Caulfield for a long while, over 1.25 miles, but I do think Flemington's a better track for him.
Gee, that's interesting. I mean, 2nd in the Melbourne Cup a couple of years ago. What a remarkable horse he is to be talking about him a Melbourne Cup chance and an Epsom chance in the one breath.
And I know double the distance.
Exactly. Galilee almost did the double. In 66 he was 2nd and 1st, and this horse does accelerate and finish a bit like Galilee, so who knows. OK, we'll leave Superimpose.
A bit before my time, Galilee.
Was he? Oh, well, you must be a lot younger. You must be a lot younger than me and Keith then. I reckon he's telling a fib there, don't you, Keith?
I think it's a whopper.
Listen, let's go and have a look at Bold Promise, because we're not going to get anything more out of Lee Freedman over Superimpose and where he might be running. Bold Promise yesterday was long odds on. A tremendous finish here. This is the T Rose Stakes.
Coming up the hill to the turn, 500 out. High Pressure's just led Temple Fire. Ditman's about to cruise up on the favourite Bold Promise. And then Tyrannic and Electric as they corner. Further back, Lady Nikolai and then Calamarco, and Pippi War is now pulled out wide. Straightening up, Temple Fire quickly joined. High Pressure's Bold Promise coming after them now. 2 lengths away, Lady Nikolai running on. He's got to pull the whip on Bold Promise. She headed Temple Fire. Lady Nikolai on the outside is driving at them close to home. Lady Nikolai and Electric is charging through in the centre as the three of them come to the line in a thriller. Lady Nikolai on the outside, Electric and Bold Promise in a three-way doozy for the T-Rose Stakes.
Yes, it was a deceiving photo. Electric in the centre finishing second, Lady Nikolai on the outside third, and Bold Promise winning. I guess we'll see these horses again in the Flight Stakes. What do you think about Bold Promise, Max? She was outstanding as a 2-year-old.
I don't think she's outstanding as a 3-year-old. She came, the positive aspects of Bold Promise is that she came home faster over the last 600 metres than Superimpose, but the negatives are Electric should have beaten her yesterday. The race was run to suit Bold Promise. I do think Electric will beat Bold Promise over 1600 metres at Randwick in the Flight Stakes.
OK, Max, you mentioned Liverstone Elena a short time ago. He looked the best of good things beaten yesterday in the Shannon quality. Let's have a look at this. He was badly interfered with, a fair way from home, deposition successful, and Triscay beaten for the first time in her career first up.
800 metres mark, and the leader, Kenny Gorinsky, in his favourite role, led by 2.5 to Cavalier, with Triscay in a good spot on the outside. 1.5 to Bassie's Pride, 2 to Africana. Deposition getting up on the inside of him and a gap to Majestic Boy, then Liverstone Lane, and last is Lovelock as they start the run up the hill. 500 metres out now, and it's Kenny Gorinsky, the leader. The champion mare Triscay sneaking closer. Cavaliers in third place, followed closely by Bassie's Pride. Africana moving up is forced pretty deep on the corner, then Majestic Boy, and Deposition is looking for an inside run as they corner. Into the straight, Triscay on the outside, immediately race clear of Kenny Gorinsky. Deposition is out of a pocket now and looks the danger, followed by Cavalier. Africana's gone. Triscay headed by Deposition 100 metres out. Liverstone Lane is getting to the line well, but Deposition has burst clear close to home. Liverstone Lane and Majestic Boy finished well, but couldn't pick up Deposition, who scored nicely.
Lee, could Deposition be a danger to Superimpose in the Epsom?
Oh, definitely. He's a horse on the improve and his record's outstanding. We're obviously going to have to give him a fair bit of weight too. He'd be a definite threat.
OK, let's go from the Epsom when we'll talk about the Metropolitan, which is on the and the other big cups, because the Newcastle Cup was run during the week. Max, you had an interesting article during the week comparing performances in the Newcastle Cup with performances later in the spring in the Metropolitan, the Caulfield Cup and the Melbourne Cup. We're going to take a look at it now. This race was run on Wednesday. It was the richest race, by the way, run during the week, 250,000, and it makes some interesting reading.
Yes, I think you've got to take into account too that horses that get beaten in the Newcastle Cup do go on to better things. Natsky, for instance, should have won a Melbourne Cup. He was beaten in a Newcastle Cup. And perhaps it'll be the beaten brigade in last Wednesday's race that are the horses to follow.
OK, let's have a look at the Cup. Maharaja successful. Shane Dye after the race said he won't win the Melbourne Cup. Not yet. He's too immature. Let's take a look at this race on Wednesday.
900 metres left to go in the Cup. Coconut Ice is the leader. Coconut Ice by 1 length to Siegfried. Destiny Boy parked up third on the inside. Hammond is going forward, and here's Ecliptic letting loose on the outside with a big run. Storming into the picture behind those, Willie Tell, followed by Maharaja. Shyness is letting loose on the outside and going around them 4 and 5 deep. Sound Horizon got shuffled back on the fence, and so too did Garter King. Star Bazaar pulls to the outside as the Cup field prepares for the run in. Homeward bound now. Siegfried moved up to tackle Coconut Ice. Willie Tell is there at the right time, followed by Ecliptic, and here's Rural Prince. Rural Prince getting into the clear, coming with a big run, followed by China's Sound Horizon and Galilei. Galilei from the tail of the field with a swamping run. Rural Prince raced up to hit the lead. Rural Prince just in front of Ecliptic. Diving at them on the outside is Maharaja. Shane Dye pulls the whip on Maharaja, and Maharaja wins the Cup. Maharaja first, Ecliptic second, Rural Prince third.
Well, Max, you've suggested we look for the beaten brigade. Pick one horse out for us for a Melbourne Cup or maybe a Metropolitan from that race.
Garter King.
OK, you certainly knew something about it. Max, we'll leave you there. I did like your quote during the week. You're talking about Percy Sykes and Tommy Smith. JC carried across and they wrote a book about him. I've been carrying this bloke for 20 years and no one mentions it. Percy Sykes with Tommy Smith. Bit irreverent.
I do think I've straightened that out for Percy anyway.
Good on you, Max. Good to join you, mate, and we'll keep in touch with you during the spring. OK, Max Presnell and Lee and Keith will be with us because after this break, Melbourne racing.
It is a tie for the 86 Bravo.
I'm speechless.
It's a dream come true. Very indebted to every coach I've had.
Parents at home are probably flipping their lids at the moment.
History books now, aren't we? I just hope that this can make your life a bit better.
Anything you do in life, if you persevere and, you just give it all you got.
Be up here now, it's just a dream.
Live, the 1991 Brownlow Medal count and the AFL All-Australian Team 1991. Brought to you by CUB, 8:30 Monday night.
Welcome back. Well, this time last year, around about this time, I think it was Caulfield Stakes Day, Lee Friedman came in, superimposed, had bled that day and was out for 3 months. Well, the second time we've seen him on Sports World, it's happened again. Different horse with mannerism yesterday. I mean, we could have a joke about it, but we won't because it's too seriously. Lee, one of your brothers, I think it was Richard, yesterday after the race said that the law is antiquated. She automatically gets 3 months, second time life. What's your feeling about this this bleeding situation and the rules of racing?
Well, let me make it clear from the start. I'm not just saying this for my own benefit. Obviously, my opinion, if it was carried through, would benefit everybody in racing eventually. But I think the rule's draconian because US research shows that 70% of horses bleed in races anyway, internally, every bit as badly as they do when they bleed outwardly. And those horses are going around week to week. And I've, from my own experience, of scoped horses of my own that I've had to worry about that have run a bad race and known that they've bled internally, but because the rule says they've got to bleed from both nostrils, they can't be banned, and they go around a week after.
It is interesting that Keith, Superimpose and Manicato are two of the most celebrated horses of recent times that have bled and certainly made and been very successful afterwards, haven't they? It's as if nothing has happened to the two horses.
That's right, Bruce. Manicato was quite young when he bled in Sydney. He came back and went on to be to win many races. Superimpose, well, we've seen what he's been doing. Lee lost another one this week, My Version. He bled for the second time. That's a life ban. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that because my experience, I mean, we train a lot of horses, so obviously we're going to get a higher degree of bleeders than a smaller stable would, and that's, I want to make that point fairly clear. We buy a lot of athletic horses at very long range because that's the sort of horse I like to buy, and those horses are predisposed to wind problems, and wind problems often lead to bleeding problems, so that's why we get those problems. I just feel that a better situation would be for a horse to have bled to get right 2-3 week ban and then have a proper race trial in front of the stewards and get the horse past a race again, because the horses we've had that have been banned 2 weeks after the ban, I mean, you could have started them anywhere in the world and they'd have run well.
It's interesting because in 2 weeks' time you're talking about races like the Caulfield Cup and
you're right back on track,
and the Cox Plate, and you're talking $1 million races for this mare. I mean, she was outstanding.
It's a debatable subject, Bruce, and yesterday it happened to a mare, Mannerism, who probably had the briefest reign ever as a favourite for a Caulfield Cup.
Well, she earned it, Keith, by winning the Fee Stakes in quite spectacular fashion.
Shaftesbury Avenue is the leader. Shaftesbury Avenue just in advance coming down the side here, moving up Street Ruffian, just behind them Redelva. Ivory Way still there on the inside, followed by Mannerism. Further back then came Kessama, and they were followed by Mantelpiece, who's commencing a run, followed by Tayako Pearl. A good long gap to Donegal Mist, and last of all Eastern Classica. Coming up towards the home turn, 450 to go. Redelva takes the lead. Mannerism joining in. Ivory Way around the outside, running on well. Street Ruffian can't go on, followed by Shaftesbury Avenue and Kessama. But Mannerism has dashed to the front, coming around the home turn, about 2 lengths to Ivory Way. Kessam on the outside. The leaders going very wide as they straighten up. Redelva over on the inside as they pass the 200. It's Redelva over on the inside. Mannerism wider on the track. Ivory Way, Street Ruffian, followed by Shaftesbury Avenue and Kessam. But Mannerism is the leader with 100 metres left to go, and she's got it shot to bits, Mannerism. And the mare too good in the run home. Won it well. Mannerism is first. Second, Redelva. Nick away third. A good run, Ivory Way, followed by Shaftesbury Avenue.
So, as you said, Keith, Caulfield Cup favourite for a short time and then out of business for 3 months.
Yes, but there will be some others in business, Bruce. I thought that Ivory Way did well under the weight for age conditions, but I loved the run of Shaftesbury Avenue. The rail was not suitable, and Shaftesbury Avenue will just about win at his next start. And I think the other significant point for that, apart from the authority in which Mannerism won the race, was that nobody reads a track better than Darren Gauci, in my opinion. You saw him at the home turn prepared to surrender some ground to Rudelva on the inside rail. He knew what he's doing, and he helped increase the winning margin.
Yes, the boy with the golden hands. She should make a big comeback, and there's a lot of riches for her in the autumn.
She's an outstanding mare, I feel. It's probably worthless saying it now, but I couldn't see how they possibly beat her in the Caulfield Cup on yesterday's run.
God, well, I'd be bleeding a bit if I was training here.
Well, we got the BMW in the autumn and races like that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's go to the big 3-year-old fillies race. The Lauren Perrier, actually the horse steaming home in third place, is also trained by Lee Friedman in this Ride the Rapids. But it was terrific to see Pat Hyland win with Royal Accord.
A Noble Pearl last, and a blanket would cover the field coming up to the 600-metre mark. Dubai Lass, a half-length Angel's Wings. Royal Accord, the outsiders next, followed by Jolanda, and Shador putting herself in the picture. Sea Zephyr up there. Sade is right around the outside, followed by Richfield Lady. Then further back, Noble Pearl, followed by Ride the Rapids. At the home turn, 450 to run. Angel's Wings has taken up the running. Let around the turn nicely, clear by length. The Royal Accord is under pressure. Wide on the track is Sade under the whip next to Shador as they straighten up this leader. Going well, Angel's Wings at the top of the straight, shifted ground. Down past the 200-metre mark, and Angel's Wings is nicely clear. Shador coming home well along the inside. Then Royal Accord and Sea Zephyr from a long way back. Angel's Wings is the leader with 100 to go. Royal Accord on the outside is coming at Angel's Wings. Royal Accord the outside as they go to the line of the head bobber. Maybe Royal Accord from Angel's Wings, and Ride the Rapids flashed up on the inside.
Well, you talked about jockeys, Keith. It was good to see Simon Marshall winning there, and he's had all these problems of forgetting to weigh in, and he looks like he might have his career back on track.
Yes, although he does have an appointment with stewards. He asked to call his master into where he was maybe charged with careless riding, Bruce. And also on jockeys, Michael Clark has been suspended for the first time since the Australian Cup in 1987 on Atalac, and he is considering an appeal tomorrow.
OK, so Michael's, I think, out for a couple of weeks.
Four meetings.
4 meetings. That filly of yours steaming home in third place, she looks to have a terrific future.
She's a very promising filly. First 2 runs were good, and as I said on radio to Keith and Brian yesterday morning, we'd had a little bit of a cough go through, and she had a little cough after her last run, which was disappointing. But the ensuing 3 weeks, she really came up, and it was a very good run yesterday.
OK, Ride the Rapids. Keith, talking about disappointing, what about Star of the Realm yesterday? The boom on him was enormous. He was going to beat Terce, he was going to be everything.
Was too. He really didn't have the achievements on the board, and I mean, that's evident now in retrospect, but the boom was amazing. Yesterday he never appeared comfortable. He's a big striding horse, and you know, if you took the short odds, you were off early in the race, in my opinion.
You sure were. Let's have a look at the CSA Stakes, the favourite, Star of the Realm.
Up past the 600-metre mark, Roxy Dancer about a length clear of Hula Grey, feeling the outsider, and going up 3 deep is now a Star of Realm on the outside, making a good run, followed by Good and Fast. Back behind them, Naturalism, followed by Lacer Beam, working his way to the picture. Gently Bentley in behind them, Cavalcade last as they make the home turn. Roxy Dancer a half length to Hula Grey, very wide under the whip now, Star of the Realm, and deeper still is Good and Fast as they straighten up, and Lacer Beam is getting a run in the centre, coming home well. Star of the Realm, no good thing, and over on the outside, Hula Grey took the lead, ducked in on top of Lacer Beam. In third place, Roxy Dancer, then Star of the Realm, but Hula Grey will get the money. Racing Greenly, but will win Hula Grey, a half length to second home Lacer Beam. I think Naturalism may be third, just ahead of Roxy Dancer. Star of the Realm disappointing.
I do want to ask you about Naturalism. He's a very promising horse. He didn't really fire yesterday. We put it down to the heavy track. Yeah,
he didn't. He hasn't shown us any form on the gallops and heavy going, and we didn't think he'd handle it that well yesterday, but you've got to keep them on track.
Okay.
I think he wants a mile. He's a very good horse.
OK, the Caulfield Guineas may be for him. Let's look at the Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup markets after yesterday. Firstly, the Melbourne Cup, and Just a Dancer was a slashing run in Sydney, and Shiva's Revenge are the equal favourites at 8s. Well, Lee has indicated Superimpose might run, and that 12 to 1, well, who knows? He's got so much class about him. And then in the Caulfield Cup, equal favourites are Rough Habit, Prince Soleri. Mannerism would have been there, but she's not. And I think Weekend Delight's looking a very good chance there. And also, Lee did indicate that Superimpose may not, well, prefer Caulfield to Flemington. Lee, thanks for coming in. You've made some very interesting points today, and I know that you're going to be amongst the winner's circle with or without Mannerism during the Spring Carnival.
I hope so.
And Keith, thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week, mate.
Pleasure. And the big show day meeting at Caulfield on Thursday might throw some more light on that Cups market.
We'll have a lot of those races next Sunday in the program.
Great.
Keith Hillier and Lee Friedman, and earlier Max Presnell, and we'll be back with more Sports World after this.